Good morning, Dondre, and thanks for joining us here today on Business Spotlight Interview.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. So maybe to get started for the viewers, if you just want to give us a little bit about yourself and the business that you run.
Absolutely. So greetings, everybody. My name is Dondre Anderson. I am the CEO of Symphony Potato Chips. We are the world's only gourmet seasoned potato chip company out there. We've been in business now since right around 2010, which is very interesting. We started as a spice company, which kind of explains the background a little bit, but I'll give you guys some more insight into that. So my dad's a retired restaurant chef from Las Vegas, and while working on the Strip, he invented this wonderful spice that he actually gave to me during breakfast one morning, and I thought it was absolutely sensational and phenomenal. And I asked him, with his blessing, of course, can we bottle it and sell it? Because I think this is, definitely a test to, your cultivating the spice over 40 years on the Strip. He gave me his blessing, and we then proceeded to get it into stores. And the store we got it into is actually a co-op store located in Atlanta, Georgia. And when we got it in the store, it kind of sat on the shelf, didn't move. And we were all like, just, okay, well, what's going on? Why aren't people buying it? Because, our research showed us that if you have good packaging, people will look at new spices, and then if the packaging is good, they'll just buy it. But that wasn't happening. So then we decided to do some in-store demos to get the product to move, because we felt like people just tried it, then they would like it. And lo and behold, we found out that people really don't buy spices they can't taste. So because it's all natural, vegan friendly, non-GMO, no MSG, and gluten-free, we were able to put it on raw vegetables and popcorn to get people to try the spices. People tried it and they loved it. And it sold out. It was great. So we said, all right, we want to keep the momentum going, and we want to get into more stores. So we said, okay, getting more stores, how can we sell out faster? That means we need to bring the people to us. So we said, hey, why don't we do an in-store demo? Because everybody loves, fresh cooked food. So let's have them come to us. And we thought to ourselves, what is the one food that 99.9% of people will at least try? Potato chips. So we decided to make homemade chips right there in the store. And lo and behold, people gravitated towards it and they loved it. And they loved the chips so much they could care less for the spices, which is interesting because we literally just fried up the chips right there in the store, sprinkled our spices on it, and handed them out. And people were just, oh my God, the spices are just okay, but where can we get these chips? Where can we get the chips? And people from all walks of life kept saying the exact same thing over and over again. So we decided to, hey, let's pivot the company and let's start making potato chips. And, because I have no background in, food production or, business to say that matter, because my background is actually engineering. So, but the one thing I knew about business is that most businesses fail because they cannot supply the demand. So I said, let's not do that. I said, so let's figure out a supply chain first, because if the people love our chips like this, then that fanatical about it, because they were introducing me to a new term called potato chip connoisseur. I didn't know what that was. I never heard of it before until these people kept saying, we're potato chip connoisseurs and your chips are the best we've ever had. I'm like, well, that's interesting. All right. So I decided to, hey, let's figure out the supply chain first. So we figured out the supply chain. And the idea with that was, hey, if someone walks up and tries our chips and says, hey, I love your chips, I want 100,000 bags, I wanted to be able to fulfill that order. So that's how I built out the supply chain, to be able to fulfill that order. So that's what we did. It took me about almost 2 years to do that. But then Labor Day weekend, 2017, we launched Symphony Chips. And now we have been moving and I guess grooving ever since then. Hopefully that answers your question.
It was a fantastic answer. I think that the interview's about over. I think you just gave us so there was so much wisdom in that dialogue there, talking about legacy and your father and how you originated and how he had to pivot the company, which honestly is a big lesson for I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there, that sometimes with the best laid plans and visions and dreams, sometimes you do have to pivot where the market takes you. So that was a great introduction. I love the tie to your family and how you view the company. So Dondre, when you think about success, maybe who's the one person or first person that comes to mind that would define that word for you?
God, define success. So, success to me is a multi-layered thing, right? So it could be, success, in business is several aspects, right? For me, it's one of many people, but I guess one person that kind of started out with thinking about supply chain, I have to say was Tim Ferriss. He wrote this book called The 4 Hour Work Week, which I read cover to cover like more than one time. It was like like a Bible in the very beginning. And it got me thinking about supply chain management and understanding supply chain management from a product perspective. And that's where I came up with the idea to, hey, let's start out with the supply chain. So that way we're not trying to play catch up, but we're already putting ourselves in a position for the success that we want to achieve. So that's the one person I think that comes up that comes to mind immediately. But then again, that was in the beginning. As we began to grow, it changed because our target market shifted. One thing in his book he talked about primarily was mainly having a target market which was mainstream. However, when you're figuring out your target market, you have to get all the way down to the individual level to actually understand who you're selling to, understand what their habits are. And in the beginning, we thought we were mainstream. And so when we didn't have well, I won't say any, but much success in the mainstream market, we figured, hey, let's find our niche. And we found our niche um, actually being a more higher end market. People who care about not only flavor, but then also having a healthier option. Because our chips are all natural and gluten free and all that, we're a healthier option. Now they still are potato chips, they still are fries. So I can't say we're the healthiest option, but if you're going to, cheat somewhat, I'd say, let's cheat with a little less guilt. And that's our potato chips. And we actually go after that market. So having said that, then it would say, okay, so who was that person who gave me that understanding of nail or would say honing our target market? And I'd have to credit several marketing companies that we did business with on our way throughout our journey, which helped us kind of hone in on who our target market actually was. And then once we got into that target market, actually pushing and actually cultivating that market. So it's a lot. So like I said, it's a multi-layered question, for at least for me anyways, because understanding the different aspects, like I said, marketing was one, but then also understanding your numbers, right? That's a very important facet as well. And I have a few accountants to thank for that, because accountants, I say, are definitely helpful. But when you're on the journey of understanding how to position your company or tell your company story from a financial perspective, I think is helpful as well. And I would have to credit, the incubators we went through, like the one at the Russell Center for Innovation here in Atlanta, also the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business program as well, helped us understand our numbers and how to cultivate that to the point where if we don't have a CFO, for example, then it's hey, how do we stay on top of those things until we can bring a CFO on, things of that nature. So it's kind of bridging that gap between I want to say hobby and what do they call it, a side hustle, to actually having a business and paying attention to your cost of goods sold, things of that nature. So does that answer your question?
Does more than answers it. And again, there was so much in there. The thing that jumps out to me about that, and the lesson, I think one of them for the entrepreneurs out there listening, is how important continuously learning and educating yourself is, right? Because none of us know it all. And we have a saying inside of Action Coach, which is you can't out earn your earning, right? So basically, someone's been there, done that. Someone's got, probably a better tool for the situation. And we just have to always be on this journey of continually learning and improving, right? And asking for help and support from, whoever. It might be a book, it might be a third party, but it sounds like along your journey, you needed to bring on more skill sets and different learning to basically maximize the pace and the results of your company. So fantastic. Great answer. So I think you said 2010, and then the company kind of pivoted in 2017, I believe you said. So
Mhm.
almost like the two different companies, but you've been at it for quite a while, 13 years and 6 for the last with the chip focus. So when you kind of look through that journey, what would you consider maybe a piece of your biggest learning over that time as a business owner, Dondre?
Well, for me, it's how I learn. For me, I like to relate things to things that I know and can understand. And I would say for me, it was thinking of my business as a separate entity. Well, one, I know it's an extension of me, but it's its own entity at the same time. So the thing that comes to mind for me is like a child. That's how I think about it. It's a living, breathing thing that's an extension of me, and it has its own personality, its own needs, and its own desires and capabilities, things of that nature. And it's learning to adhere to those things and its needs, right? So luckily, I do have children. Luckily, I have 4 children that have 4 very vastly different personalities. And having this business, um, I guess I would say it's helped me grow as an individual a lot, because just like with a child, you have to learn what their needs are, but then also what their limitations are, where their strengths are, their weaknesses, things of that nature. Because just like a child, you want to, hey, if my child is struggling in math, let me get them a math tutor, right? They're struggling in English or whatever subject or whatever, hey, let me get them a tutor to help them with that. And that as a parent, I think you have to grow to understand you are not the answer for every problem. There are people and situations that will help your child, in this case your business, in those like those areas that your business needs help in. And so for me, I said the biggest obstacle has been, I would say, access to capital is one thing. Um, and truly bootstrapping this business has been a challenge of its own. And then getting the capital I would need to help it expand when it needs to, or when it has needed to, has been very difficult, because when you're in business, there's no steady paycheck, right? There's not like every 2 weeks, I know I'm getting this amount of money, right? I may get a big order on the first of the month and not get anything till the 28th of the month, right? And then it's like, so how do you show that we have like consistent income when it's hard to show it from month to month, unless you just do an average? Well, hey, we made 100,000 last quarter, and it's like, okay, well, we break it up, it's $33,000 a month, right? So, okay, yeah, that's what it was. But when you look at the numbers in details, like, well, 1 month you made 10,000, 1 month you made 70,000. Well, I don't understand what are these big jumps? And it's like, hey, the more people find out about us, the more people order regularly, or they order when they run out of product. So all these things come into play. So it's hard to show a consistent growth pattern when your numbers are fluctuating like that. But it's also difficult, I would say, to have adequate staff to help you progress as well, when sometimes you don't know how low your downward turn is going to be before it comes back up. And when you have employees or what have you, they're looking for consistency for payroll every other week or twice a month, or however you choose to do it. So that has been one of our obstacles, is being able to tell our story financially, and then also having access to capital to help us through those downward turns or what have you.
Yeah, it kind of ties back into one of your earlier comments, right? Understanding your financials and all your financial statements, your balance sheet, your cash flow, your P&L, et cetera. Not just to know the numbers, but to manage the business by, right? And to be able to tell that story, which you just mentioned. So yeah, those things you mentioned, cash flow, capital access, and kind of marketing, back to some earlier comments you made, those are typically one of the 3 biggest obstacles small businesses, have. And as you move up the entrepreneurial ladder, from owning a job, which is kind of what you described earlier, right? To owning a business, right? As you start to scale it into a real business, those challenges change, right? When you're a solopreneur, or you're a manager, or you're truly owning and running up, a larger business. So excellent answer. All right, so I said 13 years in, 6 years since the pivot. If you look out 5 years from now, Dondre, what's the aspiration for Symphony Chips in 5 years?
5 years, definitely see us having a lot of international business as well. I mean, we are a global economy. So I don't feel like our product is only, restricted to just the United States. I see us growing internationally, and with that, also having manufacturing not only in this country but also in other countries as well. That support the volume, of course, but strategically placed. So that and being able to grow our jobs, that we have for our organization, having, cultivating a culture that attracts younger talent to keep propelling our business forward. And also our philanthropic arm as well, which is Symphony Crumbs, which is our nonprofit, being able to continue to supply scholarships and also training to nonviolent offenders who want to retool themselves in manufacturing locations. So last year we gave out our first scholarship, and we're looking to do that again this year as well. And actually, on a bigger scale, we gave out one scholarship last year. This year we're aiming at 10. So, and we want to continue to grow that year over year. So I see that, in 5 years we're, having the nonprofit having its own base center, things of that nature, being its own, thing or what have you. And also while the company continues to grow internationally. And, then, being able to bring, be able to continue to grow not only our family business, but then grow other families, businesses, and things like that as well. There's a culture within our business culture that I'm looking and hoping to bring to fruition as well. So that's what I see happening in the next 5 years. It's going to be busy 5 years, but I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's such a great answer on so many levels. The fact that as you're scaling the company, you're giving back on your philanthropic arm, and paying it forward for the next generation and trying to improve prosperity, not just for you and your family and business, but the people around you. That's really inspiring. I love it.
Thank you.
So for the listeners out there, Symphony Chips is located in Snellville, Georgia, and if you don't know where that's at, it's probably, I don't know, 50 to 70 miles south of Atlanta area in Georgia. So what's been your experience on access to talent, whether it's management, whether it's hourly, or whether it's operational, but what's been any challenges around finding capable and skilled and motivated people?
Luckily, we've been very lucky in that regard. Because I've gone through some really good incubators, I've met some very good people along the way. And those people have been very helpful in areas such as marketing, such as accounting, yeah, financial arm, and also from the philanthropic point as well. And running a nonprofit, things of that nature, they've been extremely helpful through going through those incubator programs. Because while it's gaining knowledge for myself, I'm also being exposed to brilliant minds who are, whose passions lie in these areas. So it's been great from that regard.
Okay, excellent. So as you know, I operate and run a business coaching firm. So coaching is the topic is always near and dear to my heart. So I'm going to ask you this question. So if you look, and this could be a personal answer or a business answer, either way, as you look back in your life, who would you consider you're the best coach in your life, and why?
Let's see. So growing up, I actually played three sports. I played basketball, I ran track, and I played football. Um, I would say out of those three sports, my track coach was a guy, who came to track meets in suits. Because he's the one that showed me, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, right? And my football coach, I'll never forget, it was a game we were playing for state. And he said, go out there, have fun, and we definitely want to win. But if we lose, don't be the reason why we lost.
Mm.
so definitely them from that coaching perspective, but then from having that title of coach, right? But then coaches come in different forms as well. I would definitely have to credit my upward bound coach. I'm sorry, my upper bound director. He was he was the one that actually showed me that, hey, if you it was okay to dream, because up until that point, because I come from very meager beginnings, I never really knew how to dream or what that even looked like. And he showed me that, hey, what it looked like to dream, and gave me the capacity to actually look beyond just what was in front of me, and look to bigger and better things, which is he was the reason I got into engineering in the first place. So I definitely him, and then definitely my mom, who was an entrepreneur herself, and just showed me that there's more than one way to do things in life, and to define things in a way that helps make you feel prosperous versus relying on other people's definitions of certain terms.
So you had several influential coaches in your life, as most all of us do, which is a perfect answer, because they come in all different shapes, forms, sizes, times, value. Not just the coach, but your ability to receive that coaching, right? So great answer. Love it, love it. I suspect you're a little bit closer to your 18-year-old self than I am in age. But if you had to reflect back on go in a time machine and go back to your 18-year-old self and give yourself some advice for whatever reason, what do you think that advice would be now to give your 18-year-old self looking back on it?
So very interesting you asked that question. And I say it's interesting because when I was 18, I was set to go to, because I actually grew up in Las Vegas. So I was set to go to UNLV, major in electrical engineering. I was already set. Then I was given another opportunity to go to a historical Black college to start my career, and it was in a very small town called Fort Valley, Georgia. Growing up in Vegas, if you've ever been there, it's a 24-hour town. This town in Fort Valley, Georgia, shut down what seemed like at sundown, at least when I was there. It's probably a whole lot better now. So if anybody's watching this from Fort Valley, I'm not speaking ill. We're talking at least 20 years ago. I would tell myself to lean into the unknown. It's okay. Because going down that journey led me here. Had I taken the safer route, which would have been staying in Las Vegas and going to UNLV, I don't know where I would be right now. But doing the unknown thing, or the unsafe thing, or the risky thing in this regard, has led me to a very, very great place. So I'll tell myself to continue to lean into the things that are somewhat unknown to you. Take the risk, because the reward is always unknown. And we would benefit more from unknown rewards than the rewards we can actually see.
Once again, that's 7 for 7 with fantastic answers, I think. If I paraphrase or summarize what you said, right, it's dream big and take risks. Don't be afraid to fail. Lean in and just keep powering forward, right? And good things happen. That's some really, really awesome advice. Really awesome advice, Dondre. That's the end of the formal questions. The last thing I want to ask you is just make sure I give you a chance to kind of plug any connections for the listeners and viewers out there for yourself, how to get in contact with you, how to purchase your product, websites, newsletters, whatever you've got, just to make sure people that are interested in reaching out and either experiencing your product or talking to you about some other opportunities have a chance to reach out. So the floor is yours on contacts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for having me on your platform. This is phenomenal. So those of you who have never tried our gourmet seasoned potato chips, feel free to come to symphonychips.com. You can order online. Definitely please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I believe we have a TikTok also. I make my marketing people make sure I put it out there as well. On Facebook it's Symphony Chips. Instagram is Symphony Chips, and on TikTok it's Symphony Chips. So follow us, like us, what have you. We do have a Instagram live show we do called Sip and Chip. We partner with a few beverage companies out there. So instead of just wine and cheese, we like to sip and chip. And so we have, like I said, we have a few beverage companies we've partnered with. We definitely want to give them shouts out or whatever, but you have to come on Instagram Live to find out more about that. I welcome you out. And again, symphonychips.com. We have a phenomenal 26 herb and spice blend that we put on our chips here. We have the original, we have the smoked, and we also have the balsamic. So definitely check us out. It's a sensational flavor you've never had before that no other potato chip company out there is producing. All our blends are proprietary, so you can't find them anyplace else. I'm happy to say that. So again, thank you for having me on your platform. It's been sensational. And hey, come check us out, follow us online, and I hope to see your orders come through.
Excellent. Well, Dondre, thanks for a very inspiring interview. I think you're, very inspirational to a lot of people that are on maybe an earlier part of that entrepreneurial journey than what you are. You're 13 years in, and you're going to still be learning like we all are every single day. But your advice and a lot of things you said will resonate, I think, a lot with a lot of our entrepreneurial followers. So thanks for your time. Great interview.
Thank you so much. And if I can say one more thing to those entrepreneurs out there, I truly believe that there's no such thing as failure, it's only learning. Because unless you fail, or what the world calls fail, you'll never know what you don't know. So don't be afraid to get something wrong, because you're going to get it wrong. Nobody's perfect. Every day is a new learning experience. And as long as you're learning, you're growing. And your business will always be an extension of you. So as long as you continue to learn, you'll grow and your business will grow. And the things around you will grow. And your community will grow. And more importantly, the ecosystem that surrounds you will grow, which dictates how far in life you grow and succeed, and the paths you take, all part of your ecosystem. So continue to grow, continue to look forward, and dream beyond measure.
Fantastic. I think you took a chapter right out of the Action Coach playbook, because you're speaking our language, brother. That was fantastic. Well said and well summarized. All right. Take care.
All right.